What is up, wrestling fans? Welcome to another Pay-Per-Viewpoint edition of the Smark Moment Smack Talk podcast. I'm your host, as always, Tony Mango. Joining me, as always, are Callum Wiggins.
Hello.
And Robert DeFelice.
Hello.
We just got through a week of giving you the AEW pay-per-view points. Look at this. We're going to give you 4 more this week because we got a double dose of pay-per-views coming up this weekend. 2 premium live events, one of them for NXT In Your House, which we're going to be talking about today. And then the next episode, we're going to be talking about the In Your House. We just literally said that a second ago.
In Your House, Hell in a Cell. It checks out.
We're going to have In Your Cell and Hell in a House. So we're going to do this. Hell in a Cell's coming up after this one. We're probably going to record both, just one back to back. And then I don't know, maybe I'll just release both today. I don't know. We'll figure that out. But in any fashion, we want to know what you have to say while we're going through and breaking down this card, telling you what is currently announced and what our predictions are and everything else like that. So by all means, drop a comment below. And if you're over there on YouTube, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, ring that notification bell on the email alerts. That way you know we go live for our post shows. Still debating whether or not we will do a watch along for In Your House or post show. I know that last time I checked on the Mega Maniacs poll, the watch along wasn't winning the poll, but I think it might be kind of fun to do that. So I might just kind of say, well, try that out anyway. Or maybe when it comes down to it, I might just be like, I feel like making dinner or something instead that gets in the way of that. We'll see about that. But if you have those email alerts set up, then you'll be able to know when we go live for whatever it is that we do. And of course, if you want to help us out on the monetary side of things, you have that little thanks button on there. It's kind of like a tip jar if you want to just toss a little spare change our way. But if you want to open up your wallets in a different fashion, then by all means, go to the membership side of things, click that little join button, and that'll bring you access to the members only content and the Darkcast tier and the Pick Your Poison tier where you can request specific things that we could do on this channel or on the website. Could be, just an editorial or something. It's the same exact thing as you'll get over on the Patreon. It's just your preference between the two. Same exact pricing, same exact tiers. It's just a matter of, which one you like better. It's also TeePublic and Redbubble. Pick up some merchandise. There you go. Plugs all out of the way for that kind of stuff. So let's just start diving into this here. In Your House is back. It is a quote-unquote premium live event. I'm not really digging the card all that much. How you guys feeling about this card?
It's the least I've looked forward to In Your House since the return back in 2020. But I am glad they're still using the name. I think that the In Your House branding is fun. And the card itself is meh.
I would not be watching it unless we would, except for the fact we were doing this.
Yeah, it's not really looking all that great. That's not a slight on the performers.
Honestly, I might not even watch it and just come on the post show. That's kind of my attitude to this one at the moment.
I wouldn't blame you if that was the case. Just be like, oh well, yeah, I heard that this match had this happen or something. But the men and women that are on this card, I'm a big fan of. Almost all of them. I mean, some of them are just sort of like, I haven't seen anything from Stax yet, so I can't be a big fan of him or whatever, but it just doesn't seem that special for a quote unquote special event, premium live event, as I had said. A lot of it just seems like it should be better off as an episode of NXT. Some of it is falling into the category of what we've been talking about ad nauseum and what we're going to talk about even more with Hell in a Cell of, oh my God, I've seen it before. Can we please move on to something else? And some of the other things that are kind of new, I guess you could say, it really just doesn't matter. So it's not the best looking card, but nevertheless, this is what we got ahead of us. Quick breakdown of what we've got for the lineup. We've got the NXT Women's Tag Team Championship is on the line. Toxic Attraction against Katana Chance and Kayden Carter. We got the women's titles on the line. Mandy Rose against Wendy Choo. A 6-man tag team match, Legado del Fantasma against Tony D'Angelo and his crew. The tag titles for the men's side of NXT is on the line with Pretty Deadly against the Creed Brothers. North American title is up for grabs with Cameron Grimes and Carmelo Hayes. And Bron Breakker is up against Joe Gacy for the NXT Championship. And I guess we should get started with the Toxic Attraction stuff. I lumped this together in my upcoming Bleacher Report article, as you guys will see. I just said, yep, all the titles stay with Toxic Attraction because there is no way Wendy Choo is beating Mandy Rose for this belt. That's most likely going to Nikita Lyons whenever she's back from her injury. And KC and KC are not people I would imagine would be the next tag team champions either. I think that they are here to stall a little bit more with Toxic Attraction, give Toxic Attraction another win. Gigi Dolan and JC Jane are like the 2-time champions now. They are carrying promos much better than what KC and KC would be doing. And I'm fully on board with the idea that Cora Jade and Roxanne Perez are the two that are winning that set of titles. So you got to wait until at least after the breakout tournament's over. And that's not happening here either. So we got a couple more weeks of Toxic Attraction holding these belts, but I am firmly 100% bet the house. Both Toxic Attraction matches go to Toxic Attraction. How do you guys feel?
I just want Toxic Attraction to go to the main roster.
Absolutely.
It's a great act, but I kind of want to see it utilized elsewhere. And I think that the more we pivot to NXT being a straight developmental, where you can have, KC and KC fight Team 2001, if that is what they're going to call themselves, I'd be all right with that. I get what you're going for in having Cora and Roxanne beat Toxic Attraction, but I don't think that they need to. I'm just ready to see, first of all, Kayden and Katana Chance need tag titles because I think they've been a tag team longer than any other team in NXT. And I just think that if they win here, that's cool. Mandy losing it to Wendy Choo, be fine. I think, gun to my head, I'm going Mandy retains and the tag titles switch, but I would be okay with all of them switching.
Yeah, again, not really caring too much about either match. Not a huge fan of Toxic Attraction as a unit because I just don't think they're particularly good wrestlers in general. They're fine, but just like it's nothing. It's not like watching any of their matches. I feel like I'm watching on the edge of my seat, watching a classic take place. It's just it's free. It's gonna be like 3 fine women's wrestlers against 3 other fine women's wrestlers across 2 matches, and it's just like okay, that'll be fine. I imagine the tag titles will retain because I just don't think they're ever going to give Katana Chance and Kayden Carter the tag team titles, or at least not at this point. I imagine that if they do win it, they'll win it when they turn heel on someone, get angry about we've never got an opportunity for the titles, and move on from there. I just don't see Gigi and JC losing, and I don't see as much as how bizarre NXT 2.0 is nowadays. I can't really see them putting the title on the girl in pajamas.
Right.
That might be a stretch too far for them. I think that, under your prediction, Tony, I'm sure we all can't wait for Nikita Lyons to make NXT great again. But I think that I think that the likelihood is that Mandy will drop it to Roxy. Roxanne Perez. I still call him Roxy because that's what I would prefer. But if Roxanne Perez, after she wins the breakout tournament, they can build that up there and do the title change on TV at some point. They could give it to Nikita Lyons as well. But my initial assumption was that Nikita was going to win the breakout tournament, and that's delayed things, and so they might just run with it and give Roxanne the title instead. But yeah, I still see Mandy Rose retaining, so in my book, all the titles stay on Toxic Attraction.
See, I'm imagining that Nikita Lyons was the plan, and of course they had to pivot over when she got injured, but I think the way that they're going to go about this is one of those like roundabout, we circle back to the same point kind of things that they've done in the past with other people. And next week when we do Tiffany Stratton against Roxanne Perez, Roxanne wins that match. I mean, I can't imagine Tiffany Stratton wins that one. I think you get Mandy Rose against Roxanne either the week after or maybe the week after that if they want to stretch things out, because they are fully on board with stretching things out as much as they can. And then I think that there's a chance that maybe they kind of do the angle where it's like, all right, well, Roxanne had the match won, but the rest of Toxic Attraction got all involved and they made a big mess of the whole thing. So now Cora Jade comes out and she helps out Roxanne fight them, and then you know what, fine, then we're going after your tag titles or something. Which, if that is the case, it'll be kind of funny that they did the whole thing with like you win the tag title breakout tournament thing, and then we're gonna use that
you do
for
the singles, and then you
singles
do the
thing,
singles,
and then
you get the tag.
Right,
Yeah.
like that's just the way that serendipitous kind of thing. But they could just do that outright too. It could end up being like Roxanne wins, and she's like, me and Cora are a team, and we're gonna fight for the tag titles. But that's well, I guess we'll see about that.
And then we pivot the NXT tag champions up to the main roster so they can just be the WWE tag champions. Am I right?
In a perfect world, something like that happens instead of
in that tournament that's definitely going to happen.
Right. The tournament
that's
made
totally
out of 4 teams
happen.
that don't even have 4 teams for. God, it's awful. Doudrop and Nikki, and then who else do we have?
Baszler and Natalia.
And that's it, I think, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
They'd pair Ronda and Raquel, but
and Liv and Alexa probably at some point.
I'm still saying they're missing out on an opportunity for Ginny and Carmella. Just be like, oh, Ginny made the mask. There you go. Used to work back in the day. Want to do it now? As far as the NXT women's titles go, I was kind of hoping that they would have said, let's combine these and make a winners take all 6-woman tag. That way we could just have one segment instead of 2, because I don't think that these matches are going to be all that great. And I got a feeling by the end of watching the 2 of them, we're going to be like, yeah, okay, well, let's move on. But we do have a 6-man tag. Tony D'Angelo, Channing Lorenzo, and Troy Donovan against Legado del Fantasma. And this was another thing where I was hoping for something a little bit different. I wanted them to do this match as a street fight, because that would be cool. And no, we're just getting a regular 6-man tag. So it's literally the same thing that we see every single week on Raw and SmackDown for all these things. But they did add a stipulation to it, which is that the losing trio has to join the other faction. And that completely changed my mind about, okay, well, Tony D'Angelo and his people are just going to beat Legado, and that's the end of it. I still am leaning in that direction because they are the fresher faction. But I don't know, because I can't see really anything working out for one team being on the other team.
It's actually the match that, even though it's the only non-title match on the show, it's the one I'm actually the most intrigued by, just because of that stipulation and the direction they'll take with it. My opinion on this is that I feel the Tony D'Angelo and his crew will get the victory, and we'll have a couple of weeks of it clearly not working out with Legado del Fantasma, especially on the Santos side of things, being part of that crew because they're just trying to disrupt things. And it will lead to them taking out Santos Escobar and Cruz del Toro and Joaquin Wilde and Electra Lopez all turning on Santos because he's the one that agreed to this deal in the first place. They all form into like this 6-person faction, and Santos goes up to the main roster. That's kind of my expectation. Whether that does happen or not is completely up in the air. But either way, I see the Tony D team taking the victory.
Yeah, I'm going with Tony D's mobsters, or they don't have a name yet, do they?
No, they really need to give them a name.
Yeah, because I think the other 2 guys in Legado, DJZ and Cruz del Toro, they can be absorbed into another faction. Electra and Santos can put up a fight. Maybe even Electra just decides he's got the power. I stick with the guy with the power, and Santos can go on and do something else. But yeah, I see this team winning. And this is another one, like how I mentioned on a prior podcast, the Slumber Party idea. I really feel like this would benefit from some kind of a cinematic something or other. I don't know why I'm really feeling that for this show, but I think something outside of the ring would really help here.
If they would have done something like a Falls Count Anywhere, or I mean, it's in your house, so it's like maybe you do something with the house set, assuming that they actually even bother with that. And that could have been kind of fun, because they've been doing these vignettes and in like other locations. They did a boat on the last one. Not that they would be like filming this on a boat, but they could have spiced it up in a different way, and I'm disappointed that they just decided to go, it's a 6-man tag, and fuck you, that's good enough. But then again, that's kind of the way that they do a lot of these things, so shouldn't be shocked. So we're all going Tony D and his stacks of 2 dimes. What's he stacking up, by the way?
Dimes.
Dollar bills?
The other guy's got 2. The other guy's got 2 dimes, and he has stacks of dimes.
Yeah, what's going on here?
Stacks of nickels. So
the other guy was stacking up loads of dimes, and he dropped 2 of them, and the other guy picked him up, and then they put him in the tag team.
There you go. We figured out the backstory. It's awful. Creed Brothers get another shot at the tag titles, and this has a stipulation to it as well. If the Creed Brothers lose, they are out of Diamond Mine, despite the fact that Roderick Strong is the one who wants to leave Diamond Mine. It's funny, this all hell that that's the story that they're going with right now. It's like, hey, can I leave the roster? And they're like, no. By the way, you're also going to be the one that wants to stick around in this story. That is pretty interesting, though, because without that, I just went, all right, Creed Brothers win the titles. And now I'm like, you know what? Maybe they don't. And I'm kind of leaning right now towards Pretty Deadly retaining, funny enough.
It's possible. I think Pretty Deadly is a great act, but I also think those belts belong to the Creed Brothers. They should have won it at WrestleMania weekend, so just put on them here.
I think that either way, either result, we're still going to see the end of Diamond Mine on this show or in the week afterwards, because it will either be the Creed Brothers lose and Roderick Strong kicks them out of Diamond Mine, or they beat Pretty Deadly and then they kick Roderick Strong out of Diamond Mine.
Mm-hmm.
So it's one way or the other. I think that they're going to have Pretty Deadly retain here because they've only been the champions for a short time. I don't feel like they're going to transition away from them just yet. I don't know who would be the next tag team challenging, because it just seems like it's them and the Creed Brothers. And then you're down to Legado, Fantasma, and Tony D's crew, but they're feuding with each other as it stands. And then you're down to like Brooks and Jensen or
Carmelo Hayes and Trick Williams.
Yeah, Enofe and Malik Blade.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, yeah, it's just really, really slim pickings at that point.
Certainly not the way that it used to be when you had like the Undisputed Era and the Revival and Alpha Academy. And all these teams
for
that
real.
were like
Pour
amazing.
one out for the NXT Tag Team division.
Yeah, it used to be most NXT takeovers used to have like guaranteed banger matches, but you could always rely on the tag team match to be one of the best matches on the card. And now it's just, to be fair, this could probably still be one of the better matches on the card, but that's due to the strength of the card more than this match itself.
Mm.
I remember when Calvin and I used to like laugh at Tony for thinking they wouldn't be bangers, and now it's like, all right, we've got these guys.
Yeah,
and now we're here. And you're right, Tony. This won't be a banger.
You dick.
Hey, what happened to Bray Wyatt? Anyway, speaking of how we don't have a world champion on any shows these days, and unifying the titles wasn't a good idea. Anyway, moving on to a thing that we've talked about, 15 times over the course of the past couple months. Cameron Grimes and Carmelo Hayes again, with the next match being Solo Sikoa again. We gotta fucking move on from these three.
Yeah, I'm not a fan of how they've done this.
They've literally been like, you against you, then you against you, then you against you and then you against you, because that's all the permutations we can do, and then we do it all a second time. Fuck that, man. Stop repeating everything so much. And it's like, I like Cameron Grimes, I like Carmelo Hayes, I like Solo Sikoa. I could not give a shit about this anymore because I just want to move on. And I want Cameron Grimes to retain the title and then to just either lose it to Solo Sikoa or fucking retain, and then somebody else can start challenging, whether it's Zion Quinn or Von Wagner or Andre Chase or whatever the fuck that they might have in mind for the next couple people to be challenging for the belts. I just want something new.
Well, you're getting this, and then you're getting Solo Sikoa probably finally winning the belt.
That's where I'm thinking. I'm thinking Grimes retains here, Solo Sikoa beats him. And then hopefully Cameron Grimes moves up to the main roster, because there's nothing for him to do at that point.
So I'm just going to ask, because every time I see Solsko on TV, my timeline floods with the same thing. Well, he's main roster already. Put him in the bloodline. Do you think there's a bloodline expansion that could potentially happen with Solo and Ava Rain? You know what I mean? Like, do you think we just expand the bloodline and it takes over NXT too?
No. I don't think that's happening. I don't think they want to do a crossover between that and NXT.
Gotta build that Rock Roman match somehow.
I again, it just feels like this will probably be a good match, but it's a good match that we've seen over and over again between these two in some combination or another. So it feels like Cameron Grimes' entire reign as North American champion has just been, hey, I'm feuding with Carmelo Hayes and Solo Sikoa, and literally no one else wants this title.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I'm bored of it. I'm as bored as I can be, considering the fact I don't watch. And I it's just like it doesn't hold any interest, despite the fact that these two are probably two of the best workers in the entire promotion. It doesn't do anything for me because it's just a blah, nothing happening match between two people that have been facing each other too much. I'd be even more interested if it was Cameron Grimes against Von Wagner, because even though the match would be worse, it would at least be a different person involved in the title picture. Maybe not Von Wagner, I mean, that's a bad example. Maybe you need to have someone who's actually somewhat decent. Like they had a match with Nathan Fraser on NXT, didn't he, this week?
Yeah, last night.
Yeah, I mean, so Nathan Fraser's not like the most charismatic guy, but at least that would be a good match. Got like Wesley there and some other people.
Could bring in that Jordan Devlin thing if he is going to be. Oh God, what's his name again? There's like the Rufus
Rip Fowler.
or other. Rip Fowler. That's what it was. Rufus. I don't know. Yeah, I can totally see him as a Rufus, right? Yeah. Or that Giovanni Vinci, whenever he comes in, you know.
Oh yeah, whenever they bring back Fabian Eichner.
It's looking more and more like it's Fabian Eichner, yeah.
Yeah. I'd see Cameron Grimes. I'd say like I think Cameron Grimes was retained, but I'm just seeing like every single title has been retained. But then again, I just feel like it's that kind of show because I don't just see anything special happening.
Mm-hmm.
And that sucks because like I'm okay with every champion retaining when it's a WWE scenario and they have shows every 3 weeks. But when the NXT shows are as spaced out as they are, you want to feel like there's a chance something crazy could happen.
That's why I think if any title does change hands, it's going to be the tag titles. And then they do that kind of thing where it's like, oh, we're also booting Roderick Strong from Diamond Mine, and that's your big swerve of the event. Because I guess we'll just transition to the main event here. Braun Breaker gets disqualified. He loses the NXT Championship. And even though that's a possibility, because we know that they were interested in maybe bringing him up to the main roster, I think that they're a little bit too invested in him being that guy in NXT for them to just be like, all right, he's going to lose it again, and then we're going to move him to Raw or SmackDown. And I really, especially, don't think that their plan is for him to lose it again and then win it back a third time. Because Gacy as champion, I'm not going to be a fan of it. I don't like the stipulation all that much, especially because it's like, okay, he already beat him, and Gacy's just like, nah. And he's like, oh, now I'm angry. Fuck that. Do a last man standing match. Make it fun. And instead, it's the, hey, you can't do as much kind of thing. So I just want this to be over with, too. I'll just pass, generally speaking. I'm not digging this feud whatsoever with these random kidnappings that mean nothing. And the fact that we already fucking saw it. So there's nothing that's like a big hook to this. If he gets disqualified, he loses the title. Okay. If he got disqualified, he would have lost the match anyway. And if you go with the swerve of the champion loses on that, it's just a worse outcome. So I'm not all excited about that at all.
Yeah, I couldn't care less. I will say this. I like what Joe Gacy is becoming, but I don't get the Druids. And I think that this stipulation sucks. It sucks every single time they do it. I never liked this stipulation. One time they pulled it off, and it was Randy and Christian. And that's because Randy said, fuck the title, and kicked Christian in the balls. I don't think that they're going to do that here because they don't have two awesome matches lined up to repay that. So
doesn't it work better in theory if it's the heel that can't get disqualified, and then it's like, we got you this time. You
no,
can't
because
keep
you
getting
have to.
disqualified.
No, because you have to get the babyface to break their virtuous code, kind of thing.
It's so.
It worked for it worked for Christian and Randy Orton, and it failed completely for Triple H and Randy Orton when they did it. So I think the stipulation can work. The idea of like someone can't get disqualified, or if they get disqualified, they lose the title. I think that can work. I think it can also work if it's a heel doing it as well. I mean, I don't have a problem with the stipulation. I just have a problem with the fact that this just doesn't feel big deal. Like, because I don't think Joe Gacy is a big deal.
He's not.
Yeah, and so like him facing Bron Breakker for the second time for the championships, like, and this is the main event of your show. That I kind of just left with the opinion of that's the best you can do.
Mm-hmm.
Like, Carmelo Hayes is no longer the North American champion. Couldn't you build a feud between him and Bron Breakker instead of have Carmelo Hayes constantly going over after the title that he lost, that freed him away from the title, so he could go after another championship instead? Couldn't you? Isn't there anyone else that's more prepared to take this than Joe Gacy? Because I don't even think the match will be any good, because they've already had a match and it wasn't that good.
Yeah, you got Grayson Waller. Doesn't really have anything that he's truly doing right now. He's just kind of hanging around Tiffany Stratton, which I like that pairing, but why not Grayson Waller against Bron Breakker? Or they could have done something more with Duke Hudson. They had like a moment where he's like, hey, by the way, I'm going to feud with you now. And then now he's like, hey, I'll feud with Solo Sikoa and, whatever. But like, just do something different. At the very least, if you switch over to something different, there can't be the criticism of, we've already seen it and it sucked, so why would I want to see it again?
Yeah, so I think Breakker retains, even with the stipulation attached to it. I think you'll just see a few moments where you have Joe Gacy like taunt him to use a steel chair on him or something along those lines, or try and tease him into being disqualified, but Bron Breakker will just see past all that and get the victory. It'd be really odd if Joe Gacy was the NXT champion.
And we know
unless
how
they're so gung-ho on Breakker that they're like, and then you win it again.
Yeah. It'd be like every 3 months he loses it and wins it back. And it's just, for the first time ever, somebody won the NXT championship 6 times in the span of a year. We know how the match is going to go too. Like you just said, Callum, like it's going to be lots of go ahead and hit me. And it's like, okay, I get it. You like the Joker. I'm so sick and tired of that being the thing that people are just like, hey, Joker and Harley Quinn are the only 2 villains out there. Now, to be fair, Joker is my absolute favorite villain that's ever existed in the history of media. But holy shit, can we stop getting the I'm crazy so I laugh character? And can we stop getting the I want you to hit me because I'm super messed up in the head and
you're like me, I'll break your code, bitch. Like,
right? Yeah, I'm just like, God, you're not good enough to pull off the Batman and Joker gimmick.
We need more Mr. Freeze.
Totally down for some kind of a Mr. Freeze version. I don't know how they can factor that into wrestling, but then again, we'll talk about like the Ezekiel and Kevin Owens thing of how you factor that into a match. But yeah, all across the board here, we're all going Bron Breakker, right?
I do want to shout this out. The worst example of this match type I've ever seen wasn't a title match. It was Cena and Wyatt at Mania, where Cena has a chair and the referee is going very loudly into the mic. Don't do it, John. This isn't you. When we've all seen John Cena beat the fuck out of people with weapons.
Choke people out with chains and stuff.
Yeah, like I hate this stipulation so much.
On a Fanboys Anonymous side of things, just to switch to that kind of topic, I also think it's funny when you see in TV shows and movies when like a superhero will kill like 15 people, that it'll be the main villain and it'll be like, no, I'm going to spare your life. Happened on like Moon Knight, it happens on other things here and there, and it's always just kind of like, all right, well, all the people that are nameless, just guards and whatever, they could all, eat a bullet in the face. But if you've got an actual character arc, no, we're going to keep you around for the sequel kind of deal. So I am really hoping that this is not one of those things where they want to play into let's do a third match and Braun Breaker retains, but then it's going to be now the no DQ stipulation is going to be mixed in there, and it's going to be a street fight, and then we spend 2 weeks leading up to that and whatever. But then again, if they do that and they get that out of the way, at least that would be the case, and they don't drag it out to the next pay-per-view, because we don't know when the hell that's happening. But this is a pay-per-view. It's technically supposed to be something that's really special, and as you can tell by the way that we've broken this down as quickly as we have and as unenthusiastically as we have, this is not something that is heading towards that $9 out of the $10 you're spending for the month value. We'll be watching it in whatever fashion we are, or if you're lucky enough like Callum where you don't need to, then you'll be able to skip it. But maybe we do a live watch along, maybe we do just a post show. We'll figure that out over the course of the next few days, and if we decide to do one or the other, all you got to do is make sure that you have that subscribed and the email alert set up, and then you'll know that if it goes live one way or the other. Any last thoughts you guys have on this one?
I want some cameo. I want the old In Your House feelings. Yes, it's a nostalgia trick, and it's arguable that we've overblown that whole shtick. But if you're gonna do In Your House, give us something nostalgic.
Anything else, Callum?
He's not even gonna watch it, so no.
I didn't know if he had.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, are we done yet?
We are pretty much done. All we have to do is remind you guys that if you want to follow anything else that's happening that's on here, go to smarkoutmoment.com. Follow us on Facebook and Twitter at smarkoutmoment. As I mentioned, Fanboys Anonymous. That's all over there on fanboysanonymous.com, and you got the Facebook and Twitter and YouTube channel and all that over there. And I'm at Tony Mango. If you want to follow me all over this place, spell it out: Tony and then Mango. So if you want to see what I put up on BR or EWN, you'll find that there. Maybe I just tweet some stuff. Facebook and Twitter, there it is. Follow what these guys have going on as well. Rob?
Yeah, I'm at Dude Felice everywhere, including twitch.tv/Dude Felice. Please take your free Amazon Prime subscriptions and use them on me, because I will greatly appreciate it, and it gives me the motivation to stream more and more. As always, check out Fightful, check out Fightful Select, check out all the cool articles on Smark Out Moment, and get out of my house, and I'll see you in hell. Hell?
That's good.
You can follow me on Twitter at Wigmeister14. Check out all the stuff that's going out on smarkoutmoment.com. Check out the Fantasy League. WWEFantasyLeague.com. You can see all the updated standings, because I'm updating them fairly regularly this time, so keep following those along. And the power rankings over on the Smark Out website is where you'll find my week-to-week written contributions. And yeah, that's it for me.
We got to remember that this factors into those Fantasy League
well, this doesn't. Hell in a Cell will.
Oh, In Your House doesn't?
Yeah, it's an NXT show. NXT doesn't matter.
Oh, I think pay-per-view. I thought that it would.
Nope.
No. Well, technically it's premium live event, but even that's not. Even this is on the cusp of the premium live event. Now we only do it for the main roster stuff.
Ah. Okay, never mind then. But we'll see that on
I must blame WWE for treating it like that.
Yeah, I apologize for not making this slightly more interesting by including it in it. Unfortunately, you're just gonna have to settle for this being a completely nothing show.
Yeah.
Well, if you are listening to this, then maybe it's already up by now. Maybe it's not. Maybe it's still in the process of uploading or whatever. But we are going to be switching over and recording our Hell in a Cell pay-per-view-point in a few minutes. So I'll be trying to edit these right after another. And, if you are interested in that, click on that one, because that is the next episode. And we will see you there, everybody. But for now, this has been another Smark Out moment. And we are being counted out.